Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Chris Corso, he's a regular on the show and does a great job. He's with the Corso Law Group, that website, Corso, C-O-R-S-O, lawgroup.com. And he's always bringing interesting topics, particularly when it deals with, I would like to say, civil liberties issues, but also criminal law, and the law on the individual, and really the kind of law. Not that there's a whole lot of law most of us want to directly engage in, but this is one in particular that, people kind of get nervous about. Your topic today is, I think, kind of timely. It kind of reflects sentiments that I think are seen among peoples nationwide, but it also has the potential of humor, almost kind of dangerous humor. So with that little introduction, first of all, tell us more about the Corso Law Group, Chris, and then introduce us to your topic.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, and it's always a pleasure to be on. We're a criminal law practice, as you say, and started off in Arizona, which we still are, and we're in Houston. And, we represent clients anywhere from, DWIs all the way up through felonies. We're a little different in the sense that we try to educate our clients and their family about the situations that they're in, so hopefully help them going forward in the future. Always say we represent the person, not the client. So
I like that. And then the topic.
Yeah. Mark down, do me a favor, Kevin, Clearfield County, Pennsylvania, this has now become the number one place I want to live. Okay? With this topic. Basically, what's happened here is the sheriff in that county, Wes Thurston, has implemented this volunteer posse that he wants to create. He wants to put about 500 civilians as part of a posse. Will help with things like natural disasters and collecting evidence and crowd control and things like that. Now, the government there, they're not going to arm them, but they are encouraging them to exercise their rights in the Constitution to be armed, and while in their official capacity, with whatever they'll be doing. So that's what we're talking about today. So, that in itself, what are your thoughts for moment one when you see that?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is Keystone Cops. But I also see a little imagery of the Old West in what I hear here, and so every cowboy movie where they had a bad guy that they were going after, and they, deputized half of the people, and several people, and half of them would be drunk, and the other half would be trying to figure out how to hold a gun. So it doesn't exactly instill confidence in me.
Yeah. You're not warm and fuzzy inside with this one. And in both scenarios, both equally scary, Keystone Cops and the Wild Wild West. This I have to say, I'm completely for gun rights, and, we've talked about that. This, however, this is something I'm very concerned with because, for obvious reasons. You're giving civilians with very little, if not any training, you're putting them in whatever gear you're going to give them, shirts, uniforms, something that lets the people know they're working for the sheriff's department now, okay? And you're going to allow them to be armed, although you're not going to give it to them. So you're following the law and following the rules regarding the surrounding posses, but it's just a dangerous, it's a slippery, it's just a dangerous proposition because you can get these people into situations where it gets escalated. Something's going to happen in this day and age where you get in a crowd control situation. They're armed, they're wearing the badge, and something's going to happen. We're going to be reading a story soon about some sort of gunshot fired, somebody got shot and killed. Something like this is going to take place. I'm not very comfortable with it. I don't know how you feel about it, but
no. My initial response is pretty concerned. I think about the number of incidents we have every year with people who've graduated from police academies. Imagine people, kind of talk a little bit about the vetting process, what's involved, and what kind of training, if any, do they get?
Yeah, they have to. What has to happen is, they're going to fill out an application, and I don't know what the application looks like, although I'm interested to see it. And basically what they're looking for is, volunteers that may have a military or police background or some managerial experience. I'm not really sure what that means. But, and then, they talk about, you fill out this application. They're going to do a background check on you. You're going to sign, and this is the part that's you're going to sign an affidavit regarding outstanding arrest warrants and alcohol and drug abuse. So basically you're just going to sign a sheet that says, I don't have a problem with drugs or alcohol, and I've only been arrested or I've never been arrested. Well, okay, that's somebody that has issues with that. I'd question the application to begin with anyway. So that's taking a leap. But those are really the requirements. Now, as far as how much training, it's not clear right now what kind of training they're going to get. I'm not sure how sophisticated that county is in their training program to begin with. So I'm not really sure what type of training they'll get, but that's the requirement, that they're supposed to do in order to get going on this. Doesn't sound like much to me.
Yeah, I'm not particularly. I don't feel any better, unfortunately.
I'm trying, Kevin. Listen, I'm trying to find anything here to make me feel better about it too, but I'm not.
No, it's not working so far. So tell me about what motivated him to do this. I mean, it's a relatively small area, so it's not like, a small town type community, for what I can tell. It's not like they even have the kind of issues from a criminal perspective to even warrant an army of 500. I mean, it almost has a little bit of a militarization sound to it. I mean, talk a little bit about what motivated him, or do you know?
That's the thing. I mean, I've read all the stories that have come out on this, and that's been a common question that's been asked. Is what because you're talking about 1,000 square miles, about 82,000 people, Clearfield County, and to me, they should be able to handle that. So I don't really know why, and he hasn't really given a real good reason other than what it's going to be used for. Crowd control. I don't know how much rioting is done in Clearfield County, Pennsylvania, but he keeps talking about, he keeps talking about crowd control and manhunt. Again, I'm not really sure. Maybe this has something to do with some of these things that are coming out about, the Netflix show that we talked about, and The Mind of a Murderer and things like. I don't know.
Oh yeah, the making of a murderer, the Steve Avery story.
I don't know, but I know that was mentioned in one of the stories, something like that. I don't know what the motivation is. I don't know if this is an election year. I'm not really sure for them over there. But all I can tell you is every piece of me, every legal piece of me, that sees issues across the board, liability. I mean, you're talking, they could be held criminally liable, he can, if he had knowledge or should have had knowledge that one of these people was prone to violence or to some sort of gun issue in the past, and all of a sudden, yes, they're exercising their right to possess a firearm, but they're in their capacity as a sheriff or deputized, posse member, and something happens where they discharge their weapon, somebody gets, shot, whatever happens, if the sheriff had reason to know or should have known that this individual was prone to that, it's criminal liability also, not just civil. So I'm not sure what he's thinking and why he would want to go down this road. This is a reason why we don't do this anymore.
Right.
Why, and especially where we are, Texas and Arizona, these are the places that you would see this done. Now, in Arizona, Sheriff Joe has his posse. He has his volunteer services. A lot of departments have volunteers that will direct traffic and things like that, but they will not let them be armed while they're doing it, and there's very few of them.
Yes. Do you see this as becoming a potential trend?
Say it again. I didn't hear the question.
Yeah. Do you see this as a potential trend?
No, I don't. I really don't. I think that given the reaction, listening to the reaction, and I've talked to some people about this too, but I've read some of the reactions, and people are pretty, as we are. People have the same reaction we have, that they're kind of, they step back, they rear back on this and say, wait a minute, this doesn't sound this doesn't sound right. Like you said, this sounds like the old Wild West. We've progressed past that. I don't think this will be a trend at all. In fact,
I'm pretty.
This will last.
Yeah, I'm very pro-gun, and I'm very libertarian, and I'm big on volunteerism. And if you can't get someone with my values to buy into this, good luck with getting people with different streaks of philosophy. So yeah, this has crazy written all over it. Chris Corso, great story and interesting one. I think I'm gonna write something on this over for Huffington Post because I think people would like to be aware about this. But you can learn more about Chris at Corso, Corso lawgroup.com. CorsoLawgroup.com. Chris, thanks so much.
Thank you, Kevin. Always a pleasure.
You did great. When we come back, we're going to have more for you. Do want to remind you, best content here does show up over there at usdailyreview.com, and this is The Price of Business.